Chelsea's three musketeers are all back in training, but how could it affect their UCL chances as we approach the last 9 games of the Premier League season? Noni Madueke brings back that direct carrying ability with 4.1 carries into the penalty area per 90, with only Vinicius Jr. and Doku having more in Europe's top 5 leagues. We then have Nicolas Jackson, a relentless runner who, despite not being the most clinical in this Chelsea side, still produces 0.6 NPXG per 90, which is the third highest in the Premier League, behind only Alexander Isak and Erling Haaland. And of course, Chelsea's star man, who has the highest XA produced in the Premier League this season, which is more than Mohamed Salah, and also the highest shot creating actions produced with 151 shot creating actions so far this season in the Premier League. Okay, so now that we've gone over the 3 players that are back, of course, being Jackson, Madueke and Palmer, let's just discuss how things could sort of line up. Just have a little chat using the tactics board and what we're going to gain from having these guys back. What I want to first preface is, and I've got a video coming out tomorrow, which will sort of break down the Tottenham game and how I think Chelsea will line up and how Chelsea can exploit Tottenham's press, yada, yada, yada. But I would say it's unlikely that we see all 3 straight back in the lineup. I just want to put that straight out there because I think Jackson and Palmer probably start. I could see a world, and I want Madueke in straight away. But again, one, it depends if he's ready, because we don't have that information. We don't know how far along he is, if he's just sort of how he's been training, how he's looked on the grass. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Madueke sort of come from the bench in the first game and we see maybe Sancho and Neto instead, just to sort of preserve. But we're going to put it like this, and this is because this game isn't just talking about the Tottenham game. This video is talking about what we're going to gain from this trio. And I think the first thing that is obvious is the amount of runners that we have in this team now. What we've struggled with for so long is we've had Nkunku and Sancho in the team instead of Jackson and Madueke. And that's affected Palmer himself because, I mean, let's just put it how sort of, let's take them 2 out. Let's say Neto's been through the middle, Nkunku's been on the left, Sancho on the right. All of a sudden, Neto is the one trying to make the runs, fine. But the wingers are both kind of, they want to combine inside or they want to receive the ball deep, both Nkunku and Sancho. And we spoke about this issue before. Enzo's been trying to box crash, but again, it's not like his absolute best game. I mean, he's been doing a good job of it. But again, with Sancho not making those runs, with James in behind as well, and I mean, he's not got the athleticism currently to, not the athleticism, but the fitness and the license, I guess, because of his fitness to explode further forward. But it's left Palmer in these pockets of space in the middle without stretching play around him. So players have been able to get a bit tighter to Palmer because of that. Now, bring back Jackson and bring back Madueke, and that's a completely different story because you still have Jackson who will run those channels, but he'll also drop into here to receive the ball if he needs to, which means Palmer can then run into here. You've also got Madueke who will exploit and he will attack that box and force the issue. And what happens when Madueke gets the ball and he forces that issue, which is really important. Let me get rid of these circles now. When he gets the ball here and he forces that issue towards the box, what he's doing is he's not only dragging his man back, but he's also dragging the second man, who is usually the one who wants to jump onto Cole Palmer. But he's dragging them back because he knows that if Madueke beats this guy, he's got to be the cover defender. Because otherwise, Madueke is in the box, and that's something Madueke's been really good at this season. As again, we spoke about in the intro with the stats. Madueke's got very good carries into the box this season. I think it's only Doku. Was it Doku and Vinicius? I've already forgot because I recorded that bit separately. But his carries into the box have been really, really effective into the penalty area. So what he's doing is he's committing 2 players, and that's the whole idea of having these 1v1 isolated wingers, ones that are threatening enough and they force the issue enough that they're not only in this player's mind, but they're also in this player's mind. Because then once you do that, you open up a lot more space for your star man. And then vice versa, if this guy refuses to come off of Palmer, then you're going to keep getting those box entries through Madueke. So it's a win-win situation with that. And that's something Chelsea have lacked without Madueke. And again, Jackson can offer the sort of ability to stretch that even further by making those runs into here and, like, again, second-guessing this player. Or he can stretch over to this side, ready to sort of, again, dragging, let's say, a central defender away over here with him So there's plenty of options that having these stretchers is what I would say. What you can call them, like runners, stretchers, however you want to sort of label it. There's so much usage that you get from having these two back in the side that allows Palmer to thrive. And that's a lot of what's gone wrong. Not saying that Palmer was unbelievable in the games before these two got injured. There was obviously a little bit of a stale run. But as I tried to explain in the video a little while ago, I think what's happened is unfortunate because I think we've been almost tricked into thinking that this entire run is almost one big run of games that all have the same issues. Whereas I actually think the first run from sort of Everton 0-0 to around the time of Jackson and Madueke getting injured, there was a lot of different issues. And then I think from that injury point, we've actually fixed a few of those issues, but then we've not been able to tweak the rest because of the personnel. So it's almost like I sort of see this as two separate runs, and that's how I've analysed them, because when I've analysed both runs, there's key figures in each one that has cost Chelsea results, and I don't think they overlap very much. So that's sort of my argument with that, which is why I think Madueke and Jackson is going to be very good for Palmer himself. And again, let's just hope these guys are fully fit, because that's going to make a huge difference. But I think, again, with Madueke and even with Jackson, something they bring you that a lot of people have sort of been, again, if we're in this shape, this 3-2-4-1, 3-2-5, a lot of people have been sort of hesitant and annoyed about the tempo and the pace of it, going round the back. But again, a lot of your maverick players, they're in that triangle. So when you take all three of them out, or even two of the three, you lose a lot of that pace that you've got, because this is the stable part of the team. If you look at it in sort of sectors, this is the part of the team that's supposed to keep the tempo a little bit slower, move the ball up the pitch, get into good positions. It's when it hits one of these reference points in this area, and I think that's something we lacked on the left this season, which is why at times I've wanted a more of a maverick left-sider. And again, I think that's something we'll address in the summer. But I think that's when that tempo can flip up. And that's when we saw, especially earlier in the season, when these two, if you're talking partnerships, you'd have said these two at the start of the season, and you'd have said these two at another point as well. Those connections give you that dynamism. And that's what speeds the tempo up. That's what makes things happen. And once we get into this area of the pitch, Jackson drops deep, he receives the ball, and he can turn and he can carry. Again, if he carries the ball away, players are all retreating with him. Palmer's the free man at this point. He can attack this space. He can stay here to get the ball back if it recycles into here. And he can then get so much more space just from these two being those sort of mavericks, carrying the ball, making runs in behind. There's plenty of ways they can aid Palmer to give him more space. And that, again, all it takes is those little moments to spark something a little bit quicker and a little bit more upbeat that gets the whole team up for it. And then again, if you score a goal, which again, a lot of the time we know it's come from these three because they're our top three scorers in the Premier League, that can often bring the momentum to see a game out. And again, that's another issue that in the other run we sort of struggled with. We had a few games where we did take that lead, and then we struggled to see that out because we kept trying to play quick and we allowed teams to sort of make it a back and forth chaos game, or we there was other scenarios. I think there was a scenario where we dropped off against Fulham and we actually allowed them to have more of the ball. And again, we weren't very good at defending our own box in that scenario. Of course, we've had Sanchez's mistakes where he's sort of gone to clear the ball, and again, that was one against Fulham. But those sort of things were costing us points. But having these three back is going to make a big difference to the way that the entire team operates. And as well, by having such a heavy focal point on that side of the pitch, it will also just help the likes of Enzo to ghost into the box and attack that box like we've seen him doing, and try and add a few more goals, which he has been doing this season. And even Neto, and even if it is Sancho, right? Whoever's on this left-hand side, it gives them a little bit more sort of space and time, because there's so much focus on this side of the pitch and often tilting towards this side of the pitch when we have the ball over here, that when that switch does come in, you can actually get into those 1v. That was an awful arrow. You can actually get into those 1v1 scenarios a little bit more often. And again, Sancho earlier in the season, the best we saw of him was when these three on the other side And I say Jackson on the other side, he sort of floats and does both. But let's just, like, for this argument, we're saying the triangle of the three of them, it gets the best out of the left side as well, because those 1v1 isolations come a little bit easier and there's less chance for the defenders to shuffle over, and they're committing their bodies, even if it's a few yards. Their attention is slightly more over here, and their reference points are slightly more on that right side of the pitch. That it just opens up that left side a little bit more time, and then the confidence starts to sort of flow from there. So let me know what questions you have about the three being back. Like I say, tomorrow's video is an interesting one. We'll have we've got a guest on the channel this week. We've got a Tottenham fan, Ben Bowman, Tottenham YouTuber, very good, very class guy, and he's smashing it at the minute with TikTok and YouTube. So we're going to be talking to him. We're going to talk about Spurs tactics, talk about Chelsea's tactics, mix them all together, see who we think, like, who could exploit what areas of the game. It should be a very interesting discussion. So we're going to have that out tomorrow, and then on Wednesday, I will also have a separate breakdown where we sort of pick through some screenshots of Tottenham games. We've got two very good videos coming out Tuesday and Wednesday. So please do smash the like button if you want to see that. Leave any comments down below, maybe any questions that you want me to ask Ben tomorrow about Tottenham, any specifics you want me to dive into tactically about Tottenham and how Chelsea can exploit them in this game. Let me know all of that in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.